Everyone knows that internships are really important and that people dedicate tons of time to finding an internship over the summers. In this video though, I'll cover what you don't actually learn in all of these internships and how you can start to learn them instead. Hi, I'm Laura, a PM working in tech, and on my channel I cover my life working as a PM, my life working in tech, and other computer science related advice. It's no secret that internships are really helpful and they teach you tons of things that you don't learn in school because you're spending 40 hours a week, 8 to 10 to 12 weeks, solely on the job and focusing on what you need to learn. However, I think that there are three main concepts that internships don't really teach you and you're kind of left to figure out on your own. The first of those that I want to cover is going to be networking and how to network. There are tons and tons of networking guides out there prior to joining a company, and they also walk you through the whole steps of how to find someone to network with, ask them for a referral, and yada yada. But what do you do after that? Is there really even a point to network once you've already gone into the company? The answer is, of course. There is tons of value out of networking once you have the job already, and I believe that there is a lot of underutilized potential here. I won't hammer too much about the how here because I do have 2 separate videos dedicated to this, so I would check those out if you want to dive a little bit deeper. On the surface though, networking once you're already at a company is actually going to be a lot easier than trying to cold email a recruiter or figure out who that person to refer you is going to be, because you're already in, you don't have the stress of trying to reach out to strangers, and you can always pull the I'm an intern or I'm a new grad card. Trust me, people love to talk to interns because they also love to talk about themselves and share the kind of knowledge that they have and wish that they would have had as an intern or a new grad starting out. And this is often a really great conversation starter when you're meeting someone for the first time as an intern or new grad. In other news though, networking is really important in case I haven't hammered it in enough in these other previous videos. Networking is going to be especially helpful early on in your career because it helps you figure out A, what you're interested in, B, what other people are doing, and C, what opportunities are out there if you want to find something new and interesting and your current role just isn't fitting it for you. Each person you talk to is obviously going to have a slightly different background, which means they have slightly different advice for you, and also slightly different opportunities that they may have pursued going through their career. A common piece of advice is to tailor your mentors. Not everyone has to be that general catch-all mentor that you talk to all of your life and work problems to, and instead, it's okay if you have very tailored conversations around a very specific topic. For example, you can have a mentor just solely around communicating and how to make great presentations, and you don't have to meet with them every month or every 2 weeks or something like that. If you feel like you've gotten all the information and conversations out of the way in just a short 3 or 4 meetings, then there's no need to continue dragging out this relationship and wasting both of your times. On the other hand though, if you initially schedule just a 2-off meeting and you want to extend that meeting series, then by all means go ahead and do that. The more specific and aware you can be of how someone else can help you and communicating that upfront, the more you'll get out of networking and the more you'll get moving forward in your career. Find and strike a balance with what resonates with you and figure out how you can get the most out of networking and the time that you spend communicating and working with these people. Just to really hammer in the point though, once you're in industry, there are tons and tons of experiences, skills, and techniques that you haven't been introduced to in school. So utilize your time as effectively as you can and make sure that you do carve out some time to meet new people and learn new skills in your internship aside from your core internship project. The second thing that internships don't really teach you is how to have confidence in your skills. Everyone comes into their internship or first full-time job with a little bit of imposter syndrome, and that's totally normal. If this doesn't sound like you, then you're probably on the far left end of the Dunning-Kruger effect, so yeah. If you know you're decent at coding, you passed the lead code interview or technical interview with flying colors, then good for you. You won't suffer from intense imposter syndrome, but a little bit of humility is always good to have. But let's be honest, there are people out there with careers longer than I've been alive, so there's also that. Use this to your advantage though. Figure out what they've learned in those 20 or 30 years working in industry and the kinds of things that you didn't learn in school and how they can help you in that journey of learning these things that you don't know. If you're on the opposite end of the spectrum though, and you're suffering from intense imposter syndrome, you're also not alone. Acknowledge that you are just an intern or student or new grad, and people really don't have high expectations for you, again, compared to these people that have been here for 10, 20, or 30 years in industry. No one is expecting you to invent or design the next TikTok or YouTube algorithm by any means, and really the point of your internship is to help you learn, figure out what you don't know, and also build up your communication skills and experience generally working in industry. Where you went to school has a lot less weight once you have some internships, and also your internships have a lot less weight once you get your first full-time job, and so on and so forth. The biggest key here to make sure that you're not just left in the dark is to make sure that you're communicating with your manager early on and setting expectations together as to what you're set out to achieve during your internship, and also who's going to help you along the way. Your manager will be able to make connections for you and also recommend people for you to talk to, and you also hopefully will have a mentor for your day-to-day tasks and questions that you can always go to and ask any dumb questions to. I think it's really all about setting yourself up for success. If you can communicate what you need and also be an advocate for yourself, you're going to be a lot better off than the person who is silently struggling day by day and hoping and praying that their internship finally ends. Regardless of if you're having issues with your manager or your team, be sure to also carve out the time during internship to, again, network and figure out what's going on outside of your world in that company. Your manager and also maybe your intern mentor are going to be great resources here to connect you to the right people, points of contact, or generally point you in the right direction and who to talk to. Hopefully, by the end of your internship, you have a little bit more connections, you get a little bit more worldly knowledge about industry, and most importantly, you feel just a touch more confident in your skills. I promise though that the first internship or first full-time job and those first couple weeks in each of these is always going to be the scariest. Once you've gotten through the bulk of it, you'll probably feel a lot better. The third thing I want to cover is that one internship may not necessarily dictate what you want to do with your career and help you decide what is the best career path for you. By all means, an internship is certainly an opportunity and time to explore and figure out what you enjoy doing, but you can also only have so many internships and also work with only so many people. Say you're a software engineering intern and you like the work that you're doing. You enjoy coding, you enjoy solving problems, and you enjoy doing the technical things. Then you're probably on the right path. However, if you feel deeply unsatisfied at the end of your internship, then maybe there's something missing for you and the current path that you're on may not be the best one for you. Say you're currently also a software engineer, but you really just found yourself enjoying the design process of your internship. When you start to figure this out though, what I recommend is just to see if there are any PM or design resources and opportunities that you can go and check out. The first and easiest step would just be to reach out to other PMs or designers in your team or organization and get a feel for what their day-to-day looks like and what their jobs are. By all means though, an 8 to 10 or 12-week internship isn't going to be indicative of what the real world is like or how you'll feel in your first full-time job in a particular role. There are also a lot of differences between being an intern and also being a full-time employee that you may not necessarily experience as an intern. For example, you may not have as many responsibilities, you may be a little bit more limited in scope, and you may not have the full awareness of what's going on at an organization level because you don't really need to know that as an intern. And if you felt a little bit out of place as an intern, then maybe returning as a full-time employee will give you a new chance to get a little bit more insight onto how the work you're doing impacts the company broadly, or at least hopefully you should. I also want to say though that I fully recognize not everyone can just tunnel vision and dive into a different career path entirely separate from what they're majoring in, what they're studying, or what they've already decided to go down. Let's be realistic and take breaking into product management as an example. For me personally, I still kept applying to software engineering roles because there are only so many PM roles at the intern and new grad level that it was just a little bit too risky for me to tunnel vision in only on PM roles and hope that it worked out for me. I kept applying for software engineering roles kind of as a backup because there are plenty of software engineering roles to make the world go around, and now that I'm at a company and have my first full-time job, there are tons of internal roles that I can explore and other opportunities I can look into if the current team just isn't the right fit for me. I also do know plenty of other new grads who have switched pretty early on as well, just because the previous team also wasn't a great fit and they wanted something a little bit more aligned with their interests and career goals. All this anecdotal experience is to say though is that one good experience doesn't necessarily dictate what you want to do for the rest of your life, and also the same goes for the inverse. One bad experience also doesn't dictate that you're bad at the role or you're not the right fit for the role. Things come and go, and in the tech world, things are changing pretty fast, so there's always going to be something new for you to explore and see if that aligns a little bit more with what you want to do. Alright, those are the 3 main points I wanted to cover about what your internships may not necessarily teach you and how you can also learn them instead. Internships are certainly very valuable experiences, and if you do have the chance to intern, then definitely do it. However, it's also not the end of the world if you don't, and you'll get these experiences and moments to learn later on once you get your full-time job. As always, feel free to book a coffee chat or join the conversation on my Discord channel, which I'll link both in the description box down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week for a brand new video. Bye.